Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Welcome into another edition of the Vegas Squares podcast, sitting here in a full Zoom virtual studio. We got myself, we got Token Tony, we got Spike, and we got Bobby Digital. We got the four horsemen of Vegas Squares Radio here. What's up, gentlemen?
Hey, what's going on?
All right, Spike, good call. I know you love it when I try to see how it's a wellness check at the same time of a podcast.
It's the dumbest thing. None of our listeners give a fuck how we're doing. I promise you, none of them could care less. If you said I have a hemorrhoid that is literally on fire,
that would be
nobody
awesome.
would give a shit. They would just want you to get to the sports betting stuff that we're supposed to be talking about.
Well, would they rather have you ask how we're doing or watch me eat an avocado?
Eat the avocado with the pit still in it. That would be more interesting than trying to figure out how we're doing.
Speaking of, Token, our long shot NASCAR bets did not come in this week.
I know, unfortunately. Next time.
All right. Well, Bobby Digital, what have you been degenning on?
Actually, I've been playing so much poker for the initial 6 weeks of this corona. I haven't been doing a fucking thing. I went home for a couple of weeks and we didn't do anything at all. I mean, a couple of these dumb apps and whatever, the poker, whatever the hell it's called app, you don't ever play on those. They are not legit. I mean, flip a coin with your buddies because that's all it's for.
So wait,
that's all I've been doing.
You flew home and flew back and you're still alive?
4 times.
4 times.
4 times.
Wow.
4 times. And I'm going again this weekend.
No, now you're going to get the Rona.
Well, I'm playing a softball tournament this weekend, so I got to get up. I got to get up there and get some swings in before I got to come back to work.
All right. Well, let's thank the sponsors here. We got some NHL talk to talk about. Obviously, it's the big news, but let's thank the sponsors first and foremost. 12 Ounce Radio, 12 Ounce Sports Network, where you can catch us on 12ozsportsradio.com. Seat Giant, promo code 12 Ounce Sports for your discounted sporting event, concert, and theater tickets, which we're going to get some sports back. I don't know if we're allowed to go to them just yet. Also, Fat Tees Food, best barbecue in Albuquerque, New Mexico. If you're ever in the Albuquerque area, check them out, fatteesfood.com, and also chaipoker.net, and Wicked Cuts Jerky, our newest sponsor as well. So thank you to all of our sponsors. All right, let's talk NHL here, and we've got the return to play video from Gary Bettman today. I'll tell you what, Spike, I know that it's, the chic thing to hate Gary Bettman, but I really got a lot of love for him today. He I know it wasn't him alone, but the way he presented the way he presented himself in this video that you sent to me, maybe it's just the excitement of having hockey back. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think part of it, too, is, we're all going to call Bettman a heel, especially for the 04-05 lockout, for the – was it 03-04 or 04-05? Whatever it was. It was
405, yeah.
Yeah, it was 2004 at some point. So we're going to hate him for that. A lot of, the old-timers don't like him for expanding into the Sun Belt. A lot of people don't like him for the various, other – issues, whether it be the covering up of CTEs or like the drug testing, the arbitrary nature thereof. Like there's a bunch of things where people don't like him, but I think by and large he has done a phenomenal job as commissioner. I think by and large the fact that he actually likes the fact that he is a heel and encourages people to boo at him it's almost endearing. And the way that the league has handled this, not just the shutdown, but the reopening and trying to do it smart, trying to do it in a way that the players and the coaches not only agree to it, but the medical community thinks is the safe way to go. It is just, I think, the right thing to do. I think they've handled this remarkably well. I think they've done a great job. And this is going to be an interesting format, which is the last part of it, is the fact that they're bringing in 24 teams instead of the usual 16. They're going to let those bottom teams fight out for a chance to get into the playoff structure, and then the rest of them go at it. I think it's a great way to do this. And I also love the fact that all 3 California teams are thereby eliminated from playoff contention.
Yeah, and Bobby, in celebration of a return to the NHL season, I shaved my quarantine beard in preparation for my playoff beard, since both my teams are in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, that's true. My team has to go through one round of nonsense, as the Bruins will once again trounce to the finals, and we'll see what happens after that. But, Spike, I got a little bone to pick, brother. This Gary Bettman nonsense, no. Just because the pedophile brings you candy before he rapes you doesn't make him a good guy. That guy's the fucking worst. Gary Bettman stinks. He is the absolute worst thing I've ever seen. True, he hasn't destroyed the game, but he hasn't made it any better. Fuck Gary Bettman, man. Fuck, just because he's a heel. He's not the Undertaker. That guy sucks.
What are you talking about? He has brought the sport to places where it wouldn't have otherwise grown. If you brought in somebody that was an old school hockey guy, or somebody that only wanted to, appease the old time fans, they would put teams in Quebec City instead of Dallas. They would have put a team in Hamilton, Ontario instead of Vegas. They would have put a team in outside
Carolina.
of Quebec City. Well, the fact that he put one in Carolina shows that he's trying to grow the game to a demographic that didn't necessarily have the game before.
Why is there no team in Anchorage?
Because there's no fans in Anchorage.
There's people. You could put 18,000 in them.
Barely.
Remember, where was Mystery Alaska? Where was that?
You could make an argument for the fact that he's missed out on major southern metropolises like Houston, or something like Green Bay or Milwaukee, somewhere up in Wisconsin. He could have put a team. But to say that he's a shit commissioner, or that he's, a piece of shit or garbage, it's just factually incorrect. You are not in the same reality as the rest of humanity if you think that way.
I get that a lot.
And besides, he's not Roger Goodell, so clearly he is not the worst thing that's ever happened to the sports, because Roger Goodell still exists.
Oh, okay. It's cancer versus AIDS. How do you want your terrible commissioner? Bettman versus Goodell. Awful.
Biden versus Trump.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're all terrible. That doesn't mean that I still say that he's of the 4 major sports, I think Bettman is the best of the commissioners. How about that?
At this current time, I might have to agree with you in that. Although I don't feel as that Roger Goodell is that shitty, with the exception of his just pure hatred of Patriot football. But Token, I have good news, because this is personally affecting me. I get a portion of the season cut off, and I have 3 futures bets of teams that probably weren't going to make the playoffs, and they're active. I have the Canadiens, I have the Panthers, and I have the Blue Jackets. All systems go. And I have the Blackhawks, but I think they might have made it. They were only 2 or 3 points out.
Blackhawks are in.
You were in. Wow. I think they were the last team out of the West.
Okay, so I got 4 tickets. I have 4 tickets on top of VGK, Tampa, and the Avalanche this year. So that's exciting news for me. If this plan, obviously it's approved by the NHL and NHLPA, and if they can actually get this season rolling, I mean, I know that a lot of people, Spike, I talked about this with you through social media, paying out bets. A lot of people are pissed because I was following Superbook and these other places. They're refunding player props. They're refunding division bets. They're refunding everything but futures right now. And it seems to be split 50-50 on people, being okay with that, probably the people who are going to lose their bet, and people not being okay with that, probably the people who are going to win their bet.
Yep. As somebody who is going to lose a bet, I enjoy this, because I had a futures bet on the Stars to win the Central. So I'm happy that that's getting refunded. I think it makes sense. I do still have some futures bets on to win the Stanley Cup, which one of those teams, being the Devils, is out of it, unfortunately. But,
Yeah, so you're going to lose that futures bet. But
yeah.
Bobby, I don't know if you guys have NHL bets in progress, but try to look at this objectively. I mean, what do you do if you're a sportsbook director in this spot? Say Jay Cornegie of the Superbook of the Westgate. Everything was already laid out on these sheets. I mean, they're very detailed. We've all seen the sheets inside the sportsbook being here in Vegas. But people who make bets and then leave the state, wherever they live, they're all over Twitter, et cetera, where I want to see the guidelines. I want to see the stipulations. I mean, how do you handle that professionally?
I mean, it's very hard, but you have the rules laid out. And, I mean, obviously all the regular season future tickets, I mean, the regular season's completely done right now, so you got to either refund those or I don't see how you could pay those out accordingly.
Well, there's no way you can just accept the money without paying out the winning tickets, and there's no way you're going to pay out winning tickets, Bobby, without accepting the money from the losing tickets. So it just seems like there's a lot of people pissed off one way or the other, and it's like I think they got it right.
I mean, it's gonna. First of all, no matter what you do, half the people are gonna be mad at you anyway. So just find a way to meet it in the middle, because guess what? On July 15th or whenever they start this shit again, whether they were mad at you before or they're mad at you now, they're gonna be right back in there with their $500 going VGK to win the whole damn thing or whatever.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
And Spike, we're going to get updated odds as well. I mean, I know that I've seen some initial thoughts on social media of updated odds with the Bruins, VGK, and the Lightning being the co-favorites at plus 600. But, I mean, this is for all three of you. Spike, you can go. But are you going to plan on refiring some action when that becomes available? I mean, a 24-team format is far different here.
Yeah, and that's kind of the crazy thing is that you can kind of call Boston, Tampa. I'd put St. Louis and Colorado in there before Vegas, but I mean, people in Vegas are going to bet on Vegas, therefore
protecting their own ass here.
Yeah, but you can do that, especially because with those teams missing that play-in round or whatever you want to call it, getting them into the Stanley Cup playoffs automatically, I think, has to make them a favorite to go. But, I mean, you got to look at Boston and St. Louis again as they have to be the two favorites. And, I know that people don't want to see a repeat of last year's Stanley Cup final, but what team was playing better hockey at the end of the season than Boston?
Nobody.
I mean, they were unbelievable. They were out of their minds good. So they have to be in the mix for that, which is, obviously great for me.
So go ahead.
Yeah, no, go, please.
The only caveat I had with this, Bobby, is that the top four seeds are playing this round robin to determine seeding, and the other 5 through 12 seeds in both conferences are playing hard-nosed hockey. Doesn't that benefit, in a sense, the 5 through 12 seeds that are already playing? I mean, yes, the seeding kind of matters, but they're going to try not to get hurt. They're already moving on in the top 4 seeds. The 5 through 12, I mean, let's use the M word, momentum. I mean, that shit matters, especially when we have no fans. So home field advantage isn't going to mean anything because there is none. So momentum, I think, has got to be the next best thing in this spot.
I'm not so much sure about momentum, but for the most part, good teams are going to beat the bad teams when you're getting in a best-of-7 series. You know what I mean? But now, if we're talking a best-of-5, and you're telling me that the Chicago Blackhawks come out against – they'd be facing whoever's number 1, right?
Most likely, yes. Yeah.
Are you telling me you want to see the Blackhawks in round 1? If you're anybody, I don't want any part of the Blackhawks. If they get Pete the goaltender in there and they can compete, no, I don't want Kaner in there. No chance.
I don't know, Token. I mean, to me, it seems you're right. But the thing is if you're going to get the Blackhawks, what's the team that's going to get Connor McDavid and the Oilers? I mean, you're talking about talent. In a 7-game series, I think the NHL particularly is the one sport where talent doesn't always prevail. A hot goalie, home field advantage, and puck luck. I mean, those are the three things. It's the same. It's the reason I like the NHL as much as I like the NFL. The NFL, one game, the ball bounces the wrong way. The best team might be out. Look at the Patriots in 2007. You get a team like the Canadians who probably had no business being in the playoffs. How motivated are the Penguins right now? I mean, they got a goalie controversy token. I mean, you look, if these are the matchups that are set. I mean, the Rangers probably were not ready to compete this year. They got to go against Carolina. I mean, anything can happen right now.
Exactly. And it's going to be some tough first-round matchups for these teams. I mean, one I'm especially looking forward to of those round-robin matchups would be Arizona facing Nashville, actually. It's evenly matched. I mean, Arizona's got a few good goalies at the moment. And
it could be a future rivalry as well, with Arizona moving to the Central, I believe, 2 years from now.
Possibly,
that would be nasty. That would be a fun series.
Yeah, Arizona. Yeah, I mean, the one that kind of bores me in the West is the Canucks and the Wild. I don't know if I necessarily want to see that. But that Oilers-Blackhawks series does sound kind of interesting, Bobby.
I think either one of those teams win. I think Connor McDavid's probably – is he top 3 player in hockey right now?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
He's probably top 1 or 2.
Yeah. So I still think the Blackhawks can compete in that series. They're going to score, but are they going to get beat 6-4 every night because they can't stop a puck? That's one good thing about this playoff thing. There are no hot goalies right now. So the top 4 teams, that's when they are a little bit disadvantaged if a goalie gets hot during that opening best-of-5 series. Are they going to be best-of-5s or 7? Probably 5s, right?
5s most likely is what they said.
Yeah,
and same with the second round as well. They said most likely 5, but it could be 7.
Right. So Tuukka Rask is a fantastic goalie, but if he gets his tits lit in these round-robin games and someone catches fire out there, I don't know, man. That's where I think the top 4s might be at a bit of disadvantage is they run into a hot goalie after that opening round.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, I can see that. I mean, like that's the nature of the playoffs as well in general. But like I said, hot goalie has got to be Spike the number one thing right now because home field advantage is gone.
Well, no, it's not whether or not you get a hot goalie is the number one thing. It's that going into these playoffs, all teams are healthy. Nobody
Also
has
true.
the, our key player was injured excuse anymore.
For now, yeah.
I remember the 2013 Stanley Cup Finals. A lot of the Bruins fans, couldn't believe that they lost. They didn't know what was happening. Blah blah blah. Turns out that Patrice Bergeron was playing with a broken rib and a punctured lung.
Yeah.
You remember the Avs back in 2000, 2001 when they were playing. Sakic was playing on a broken leg, and Peter Forsberg had a ruptured spleen, and they were playing through, and they actually won.
Yeah, but
so
it's still tough to play on.
Yeah, but I mean, and these are the types of injuries that can happen during the playoffs too. But the fact that Vegas was going into the end of the season with an injured Mark Stone, and potentially playing a first-round series with no Mark Stone, that's a problem. Marc-Andre Fleury, who has not played his best hockey to date, especially with the death of his father. So he's had the mental, trying to get his head wrapped around things. Now he has had more of a chance to cope with that. Plus he's had a chance to get healthy, being that he's an older guy. So these are the types of things that teams going into the playoffs are going to be able to rely on. And just to take issue with Bobby's last comment about, if Tuukka Rask shits the bed and all of a sudden the Bruins are in trouble. No, they still have Yaroslav Halak backing them up, and they just won the Jennings. So I'm not buying the excuse that if Tuukka goes down, the Bruins are out. I mean, they still have too much talent on that team to get knocked out in the first round, especially by any of the fucking chumps that are going to get thrown at them.
I think the bigger question, going back to VGK, Spike, is with this, format with the top 4 seeds not really playing for elimination but playing for seeding, what do we see with the Marc-Andre Fleury, Robin Leonard thing going on? Do they both start in that round robin thing?
That's actually going to be a good question because I think Leonard has to get playing time because he can't be on a 3-month, like, doing nothing and then all of a sudden get thrust into action if Flurry gets hurt in the second or third game. Like, Leonard has to see the ice at some point.
Yeah,
So
there's been rumor that there might be 1 or 2 exhibition games as well as a warm-up.
Yeah, so he's definitely going to have to get out there. He's definitely going to have to face some actual competition and not just, like when he sees the ice and warm-ups or whatever else before the game. But
what needs to happen is
I don't know how DeBoer is going to rotate them for this kind of a playoff series. It's a very interesting, and it's a good problem to have, having 2 really good goalies.
And Bobby, he has no emotional tie to Marc-Andre Fleury. Pete DeBoer does,
What needs to happen is they have to make sure that all the bars and all the casinos stay closed. So Robert Leonard keeps his fucking ass at home and doesn't go out drinking and losing his mind doing drugs and whatnot. Just go ahead and keep him in the practice rink and keep him winning hockey games instead of going out getting all loose with some of these young VGK boys.
Well, that was going to be a follow-up question because the NHL token is currently considering Chicago, Columbus, Dallas, Edmonton, Vegas, LA, Minneapolis, Pittsburgh, Toronto, and Vancouver as hub cities. With the casinos, potentially opening up here before the season resumes, could this be an issue for all of, I would assume, the Western Conference teams, being centrally located? These guys are friends, going out. What does this mean for not only the NHL, the players, but this is also kind of a big bump for the city of Vegas. There's a chance they could get the NHL playoffs and the NBA playoffs with those finals, respectively, also here in the city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would definitely boost the economically crash of what this has caused to our whole city, let alone our whole state. But, I mean, who knows if that will even be open by the time that happens, though, unfortunately. I think, actually, the governor is going to come out later this week and push back deadlines even further because now he's scared that he has the COVID, so.
Yeah, I saw that. He actually just did a phase 2, just started today as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, he was supposed to make a press conference about that, but then canceled his press conference because he ran to some place that somebody had tested positive for it, but wasn't there at the time and canceled it due to that.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. I would imagine if they're considering Vegas as a hub city, I'm sure Sisolak will be involved in those conversations. All right, boys. Let's have a little prop bet action here. I will let Token choose first, Bobby, then Spike, then I'll take the remainder. You get 1 team from the East, 1 team from the West. They have to be seeded 5 or lower, and to win the Stanley Cup, the makeshift Stanley Cup this year. Token, I'll let you pick the East. Your East first pick.
Out of the East, I am going to take the Rangers.
Did Bobby die?
I'm here. Oh, that's nice, Spike. Thank you for that. It's very nice.
Yeah, no problem.
Here's your fucking beard retard. Anyway, you picked the Rangers.
Yes.
The Islanders, I guess.
Oh, fuck you.
The best player in hockey.
All right, Spike, what do you got for the East?
God. Oh, you just took my fucking pick.
That always happens.
Jesus Christ. All right, give me Elvis and Columbus. Why not?
Rip that ticket up.
Yep.
All right, I'll take Carolina. Do a little Cinderella story again as well. All right, Token, who do you got in the West?
Now, is this a snake draft? Should we go back around for the West?
Yeah, we should go back around.
You want to give me the next pick? All right. All right, for the West,
You'll find a way to fuck it up.
Yeah, I will. Nah, fuck that. I'm taking Connor McJesus here. I'm taking the Oilers.
Yeah, I knew that to the point where I'm writing them down, and I had EDM already written before you said Edmonton because it's clearly the pick to make.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, why don't you stick with the Coyotes, Spike? You're real high on them this year.
I actually was just about to. Give me Arizona.
I was going to take that one.
All right, Bobby, you knucklehead.
I don't know.
Give you something to bet on. With Calgary's good.
Give me one.
Go Calgary.
All right, Calgary and Winnipeg. Spike's got them written down.
Got it.
So, all right. Well, I mean, Spike, I know that you've, talked about this. We talked about this podcast at the Hub City for the NBA playoffs. Are you okay with this if the NHL heads here too?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it hurts anything to bring them here, especially, one of the things that they're concerned about is, transportation from the hotel to the rink. Well, with about 10,000 hotel rooms within walking distance of the rink, they don't actually have to put all the players on a bus and ship them somewhere. So
right, but if the casinos are open, how are they going to be able to protect the NHL personnel?
So part of the video that Bettman released said that they can only bring like 50 staff, and that includes trainers, coaches, and everything else. So I guess it just has to be either taking the extreme precautions of gloves and masks and whatever PPE they can think of during the time that they're going to be wandering around the casinos. Whether it's I can't imagine they're going to restaurants, so all the food's going to have to be brought up to them via room service or delivery service, whatever the case may be. If they are walking through the casino to get, to someplace, again, the PPE. So they're going to have to take these kinds of precautions. I know that like in the German Bundesliga, they put in these kinds of quarantine things, and actually a coach ended up getting like suspended and not being able to go to games because he went down to a store on the corner to buy toothpaste.
Yeah, I heard about that one.
Yeah, so there's crazy shit that some of these leagues are trying out as far as trying to keep their personnel separated from the general public. So I think it's going to be a matter of overcorrecting is what it comes down to. It's being overly precautious. It's not allowing people to be reckless because of how this can possibly affect everybody else around them, both on and off the ice. So I think that's the only way they can do it.
Hear me out with this one, Bobby. What if MGM kept the park at MGM closed and you put the entire NHL Western Conference right there? I mean, you're walking distance to the arena.
I mean, it makes sense. NHL's got the money to make a kind of move like that. Well, I'm sure all they have to do is pick up a phone and say, look, we're talking about making your city a hub for all these playoff things. And still, believe it or not, it's still going to bring a lot of money to the city and whatever. All they have to do is pick up that phone and say, we want the Park MGM. Well, who? Everybody. The entire hotel is ours for the playoffs and the duration. NHL has the money for that. I think that's an easy fix.
Yeah, I think that's the move right there, Token.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, they would have to probably close off a whole casino for these players and coaches and media and whoever is going to be around them, as well as the arena. And they might even, if they even try to open up the casino, do you think like some of the workers there would have to stay there as part of the protocol, though?
I mean, they may open up the casino to those NHL players as a form of entertainment, or the NHL, who knows, the owners and managers might come on and say, no distractions. Let's play some hockey.
Yeah.
Be a nice little handle, wouldn't it? Get all the NHL boys in there firing some of that contract money around.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll deal that game.
Well,
yes, indeed.
The funny thing, too, is that, you can just tell the Blackhawks, well, you guys aren't going to make it anyway. We don't have room for you at Park MGM, so you stick them in the wild, wild west.
over on Trop. No, I think Kaner has a problem with the hookers, and they're frequent on Tropicana over there. So.
Right.
Yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be careful with those guys in the Tropinarville hookers.
Reasonable point. All right.
So, all right, what are we throwing on that draft bet? $10, $20?
I was gonna say 5.
Oh, you pansy! All right, we'll throw 5.
Yeah, all right.
I'm in. Whatever.
3 stacks of high society. All right, let's wrap it up here. Thank the sponsors, 12 Ounce Sports Network. You can find our podcast there on 12ozsportsradio.com. Obviously, Seat Giant, where you can use promo code 12 Ounce Sports when sporting events, concert, and theater tickets come back. You can get them at a discount. Also, Wicked Cuts Jerky, our brand new sponsor. You can catch them at wickedcuts.co. Fat Tees Food, barbecue, best barbecue in Albuquerque. Give them a shout. Follow them on Instagram at fat_ts_food. And also, I know you're showing me the Red Sox. I just picked the hat. I have no. And also chaipoker.net. So for Token, for Spike, for Bobby Digital, I'm Aaron. We appreciate you listening. We will catch you on the next one.